Alright, I thought I'd do a little update video. Try not to shake you to death. Had some questions, so I'm going to answer one of them anyway. Had one of my subscribers want to know about an 82 crank and a mag case, and you can do it for sure. So here's a mag case that's been clearanced for an 82 stroker, and you can see the top of the case hasn't been compromised or anything. Everything's still good there. And this is a AS41 universal replacement case. It was used in a race car, so it doesn't have a lot of life. But anyway, here's the relieving you'll need to do for the rods. Depending on the rod you use and the bolt will determine how much clearancing you need to do on the camshaft in the case. So you'll have to clearance the top of the case. You'll have to clearance right here on the top of each cylinder, down on the bottom, and you'll have to clearance the cam bearing here and a few other little spots. Basically just put it in there and take your time, and less is more when you're doing this stuff, because if you get too aggressive, you'll find your way on the outside of the case. I believe Rimco offers this service. They can put it on their machine and actually clearance it for you. CB Performance will actually clearance the case, I do believe, for you. Of course, there's an extra charge, just like everything, but it can be done. I don't like to go 94s on a stock case. You can run into some machine issues depending on who's machining the case. That was the case with this case. I'm saying case an awful lot. But anyway, this case looks pretty good over here on this side. We don't have any stud protrusion into the bore area. But, that's what happened over here. So, that's why I do the 90.5 or 92 deal. And, or, if you want to get real sporty, could you go 88, go old school. But yeah, so you lose little integrity when you go to 94s, and if it's not bored on center, this can happen. So this case is still usable, but it's got a higher rate of failure now because of that. So that's why it's on the floor. But anyway, that's where you have to clearance it, and it is possible to use a mag case. So it's not like it's not been done. I have gone through though, so be careful. You want to take your time. So if you are feeling like you're not confident doing it, I would send it out and have it done. Just have it clearance. You can get it actually, I think this case actually had an 84 stroke bug pack crank in it. So an 82 can fit in there, no problem. And again, the rod makes a huge difference on the mass of the rod. So we got this motor job. We'll be putting this together. We've been looking things over, deciding what to use. I was going to go with a stock crank in this, but I don't have any good stock cranks. I had one that was standard, and the center mains were the center main just had too much wear on it for me. This guy got burned last time, so we're going to upgrade him to the CB Performance 4140 counterweighted jewel here. These are really nice pieces. Well, it's a 69 stroke. It's a forged crank, but it's 4140 instead of 4340. But for what he's doing, it's going to be great. It's going to give him great service. Got brand new journals, so our oil pressure will be correct. We've got a set of Volkswagen rods here. I'm going to go with these. I polished the beams on them. They're balanced end to end. I actually did these for a project that I was going to do. But I want to build a really sweet motor for this guy, so we're going to go ahead and use those on this project. I was going to get a set of scat rods, but I think these will probably be a little nicer, as far as durability. And it's a 1776, so we're not dealing with any clearance issues. And I'm not looking to change the length of the rod. So we're going to use the first case that we pulled apart. I did pull the second motor apart, and the lifter bores were wiped out of the motor. it had some of the same issues that this motor had. However, you know, being that the lifter bores were so shot, we couldn't use the case without sending it out and having the lifter bores bushed. The case is bored 20, so this case has got a 20 cut on it. It's fairly fresh. Lifter bores are tight. Everything looks pretty good on it. I did find one little spot of concern when I was going through, you know, finger rubbing it. Got a little hole. Let me show you this little hole I found. Got this little hole right here. Right there. There's a hole. Am I getting it? No, there. Right there. So we'll have to do something with that. I'll put some epoxy in there and make sure we don't have oil getting into the stud hole, because I think that's where that goes. But other than that, the case looks pretty good. Not a lot of choices right now on engine cases. We are going to full flow this, so I'm going to do that this morning. Go ahead and get this full flowed and get the fitting in here. It's in a type 3, so I'm going to have to bolt everything on, make sure it clears the fan housing. I'm pretty sure I can get around all that. Even if I got to bring it out with a piece of pipe or something, I'll get it clear of the fan housing. Definitely want to full flow this. I want to take every advantage I have of getting the oil cool, filtered, and adding bearing life to the engine bearings. I would like to put a sump on this motor, obviously. Extra oil anytime you're having any temperature issue is a good idea. But this is a lowered car, and you know, he likes to slam it down on the ground. So without looking at the car, I mean, I might take a look at it and see if there's room for a sump. If there is, I'd definitely add a little sump to this, even 1.5 quarts to give it a little more oil volume would help with the cooling. So we got to talking about this. I like this kind of customer, you know, they communicate and constantly talking about how he drives the car and the problems that he had with the previous setup. So I can address the engine. I can do everything here. I can lower the compression. I can, you know, make everything efficient, and I can filter the oil. I can add oil volume. I can do all those good things. But if there's an issue with the car, you know, you want to make sure, hey, is our air bellows intact? He said yes, check on that. The only other thing that's causing heat with this setup is that the vented speed exhaust. Because of where it's located, it's pulled really tight up to the motor. I feel like it's right up against the bellows, and we could be getting some heat saturation from that. So we're not going to do it, but he's going to make a heat shield, or one of his buddies is, between the muffler and the bellows to give it a little break there. And then we also talked about doing a few other things on the car to make sure that, you know, we don't have any other cooling issues. We're going to wrap the exhaust, the J-pipes, and the actual muffler with some wrap and try to get heat to stay in the exhaust system and out the tailpipe. You know, now it's just releasing everything under the car. So those are the things you need to consider. Maybe you're battling heat, you know, you need to make every effort you can to combat it. We don't want to have the same issue when we put this motor in. We definitely don't want failure. So here's our cylinder head choices. I know they're not perfectly clean. They have had the loose dirt. They've been cleaned once. They haven't been blasted yet. Probably going to go with the Volkswagen heads. Both sets of heads need guides. Go figure. The guides are all wiped out. More surprising on the A&A heads. They're a little newer, I think. Less mileage on these than these. But they were put in a really bad situation with a lot of heat. So I can't judge the cylinder head at this point. You know, I can't use this as a thing. But I did notice some stuff with these heads. Got the exhaust seats are sinking. You know, this kills performance when you got this big ledge right here. You know, that needs to be smoothed out for sure if you're going to want any kind of performance out of these. This one seems to be sinking quite a bit more. It's probably 100 down. So that's an issue. I don't know if these heads could be saved. Maybe cut them out for some bigger valves, put some new seats in there. All new guides and a valve job. Obviously, you can see how wide the valve job is on this. We don't have any performance going on here. We got one angle. It's got a 45 on it, and that's pretty much it. One cut. So not a lot of performance out of the box with these. Probably, if you read the description on these heads, when you go to A&A's site, they recommend fly cutting them to the correct CC chamber. But I suspect a lot of people don't do that. They just buy the head, and then, you know, they have this huge chamber, and it has no flame propagation because of the shape and, you know, being so deep. And there's just a lot of bad things going on here. Plus, we got the plugs recessed in the head. The builder put the wrong plugs in this. So long reach head, not a short plug head. These heads do have some features built into them. They have the, you know, this is solid around here, so you can machine this. You got a little more area to machine, a little more support around the combustion chamber. They also have the lugs here under the rocker studs to give the rocker stands some support. They are awful tight though when it comes to airflow going through them. You could probably clean some of this up. You can see the one little hole right there in the center. You could open that up a little bit right there, but not a lot of airflow through there. Very solid. And we turn it over here to the intake side. You got the same thing. A lot of room to port these. If you wanted to port the head, they look like they have more port volume right out of the box for sure. But the port volume won't do anything. You can have the best port in the world. If the valve job isn't any good, you're not going to get any performance out of it. So better to have a really killer valve job and a stock port, to be truthfully honest with you, than port the head and you know, not do a valve job. The valve job's where the power is at. Sealing the motor up, ring seal, and the seal on the valve is what makes horsepower. And then of course there's flow off the seat, you know. So you can see these heads are pretty solid down in here also. So they one thing that I don't like about these, let me point this out, and I've noticed this on some of the CB performance heads I've had, you know, I wouldn't call them issues. Been doing this long enough, and you're gonna have to, you know, re-engineer stuff, do stuff, you know. Some of the early CB round port heads, who used to really like to use those when they came out, they would break through right here if you put a spring on it. You know, if you went double with a spring. You can slow that down a little bit if you put a cup, a locator cup for the spring, but they will come through right here eventually, and you'll have to, you know, go in there and put a little weld area. Volkswagen, with all their wisdom, they reinforce that area. This genius cut it out, but normally there's a little notch, there's a little bump, you know, right in here that supports the valve spring pocket. There's no power if you're porting heads. Don't ever go for this, the easy stuff. There's no power here. It's all over here by the spark plug. You want to open this up on top of the guide right here, where you're opening the valve area of the port. Opening all this back here is just slowing the airspeed down, not making a lot of power, you know. Lost my pointer on the floor there, but anyway, these heads need guides also, so we're going to put guides in these, and then I'm going to do a little port work on them, reshape the combustion chamber. Obviously somebody did a fly cut on these, so I'll have to open the chambers up a little bit, and that's all right. I like to put a little different shape in the chamber, and we'll do a really killer valve job on these. You can see on the Volkswagen head though, how smooth the transition is here off the seat. Way more performance here right out of the box than the other cylinder head that has the big transition, the bump right there. This is critical. You want it to be smooth coming off the seat. This is airflow, you know. And if you have a big bump here or a line, it interrupts this flow and it can really dampen the performance of the head. So we'll do a little port work on that. Of course, I'll show you those when they're done. We'll get all this laid out. We're gonna go with a we're gonna go with those heads. We're gonna go with this crank, so the Volkswagen rods. Upgrade the gland nut to a forged gland nut and washer. Rocker shafts on it this time. Just basically blueprint the motor and make it as nice as we can with the parts that he has here. So that's what's going on here. I did get all my stuff moved over in this sweet Kennedy box. I hope my son doesn't mind. He inquired, he got this box when his grandfather's father passed away. He was a machinist, and he went up there and helped clean everything out, and he had this box laying around here. I had everything up in the cabinet on the wall, and it was just really hard to get to, so now I have everything, you know, where I can grab it, see it, and you know, a couple stands, a scale, some stands for the dial caliper there, and some calipers, various drill bits, taps, keyways, and then here's some of the treasures. I did get some treasures with this box when I got it. I found these when I was cleaning it out. Hey, you got to consider this box is old, man. I mean, it's back in the probably 20s, late 20s, early 30s. These are some rolling papers from the day. Guess you'd machine some parts, go over and roll yourself some up, and machine your parts. But there's some cool scales and stuff in here from back in the day. Drill bit scales, and I think these are some directions for something that's really cool from back in the 30s. What else is in here? Oh, you gotta have this. I thought this was pretty sweet. I got this from my mom. We were cleaning out some stuff, and she asked me if I wanted this. I'm like, absolutely. So this is a Texas Instrument. You know, this is totally useless today because, you know, we all have phones, but hang on a minute. Check that bad boy out. That was from middle school when I was a kid. My mom got me that. These were the shit back in the day. So yeah, I still use it. Deckite, stuff like that, instead of my phone. But there's some stuff up here, a Deckite bridge, some more dial indicators, the without guesswork Volkswagen manuals. I have these babies for plotting the valve jobs out. This stuff's really hard to open with one hand. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Maybe. There we go. Anyway, this is pretty sweet. Use this to measure the seat, and then you can transfer it to the stone. Old time stuff, you know, you guys with CNC machines are laughing. Here's a telescopic depth gauge. Depth gauge. Basic stuff, you know. This is the one that keeps your Volkswagen from blowing up right here. Sort of need this if you're gonna get into the aftermarket rod deal. You want to get one of these. Jegs, Summit, machine shop store, whatever. Rod bolt stretch gauge. And then I always have the Summit or the Scat Bible here. Rod bolt stretch chart. Try to keep that on hand. But yeah, that's a few of the things. The most used stuff, I guess. It's now all conveniently located right here in this little box. Which makes it pretty nice. And the Berg spring cutting tool, you gotta have that. I don't have a cylinder head plate. Let me show you what I use. Where is it? Seems to be hiding. Oh, I see it. It's down there on the floor under the short block. So my son used to work at Mazworks before he went to Real Street. And you see that chunk of aluminum there under that motor. He I got this as a drop off of 2J when they build the billet blocks. They get these drops. It's the last piece they cut off the block when they're done machining it. And they used to just throw them out or recycle them, so I got a couple of them. And I've got it set up where you can bolt stands on the back of it, and it makes an angled plate instead of a, to put your head on when you're machining the valve springs to get the valve guide boss level. So that works pretty good. It bolts to the table of the drill press, and then the head bolts to that. So it's pretty stable. Yeah, got the shop cleaned up a little bit. Got some motors shuffled in the back there. Got the 1600 long block there, and got the old reliable there. There's some Berg parts, David always showing all these Berg parts out in California. This is an oldie here. Actually, Gene did the rods in this motor himself. It's a set of bug pack rods with a set of $400 bolts, rod bolts in it. Got the Gene Berg oil block off there, Gene Berg pulley, Gene Berg rockers. It's an old set of ARPM heads, old stuff. Set of 94s, 82 crank, and Clay Smith cam. And it's a good one. That motor will haul the mail right there. Got some of this other stuff put up on stands, organized a little bit. I got the Chrysler pushed back in the corner so I can build a Volkswagen motor. Put some of the stuff back on the FE, tried to consolidate that. Still got the Type 4 in the house. I heard from CT the other day he got some break-in oil, so hopefully we'll get the valves adjusted on this one more time. I wanted to readjust the valve, so I got the covers off of this. And yeah, I think I'm pretty much done with this. The carb's all initially set up, and we may have to jet it when we get it running. But I think I'm going to adjust the valves, let him come pick this up. I'll take it out to the farm, and I'll go out there one day and we'll do a fire up video on this over on his channel. But that'll free up a bunch of space in the shop to get this out of here. And yeah, I got to get the disc brakes put on this tranny. This is a Rancho box. We got the axles swapped over, and finally got the disc brake kit in. It's been on order for quite some time, so we'll get that going. I got the car relocated in the shop where I can get the pans going on it. So this is the car that's getting the pans. It's a 67, sort of an old school, The guy had this back in the 70s and 80s. Held on to it. He owns a car a lot now, and he wants his Volkswagen nice. He had it somewhere else, and they built the motor and it went bad, and so we built a new engine for this. Got the transmission straightened out. We get the front end pulled out of it and the pans pulled out. I thought that it should have pans. It's got a few spots on the other side, and probably could have been patched up, but I want to go ahead and do it now for him while I still can, before the health completely fails. But I'm gonna put pans in it for him. I gotta weld the door post up over there. Needs to be repaired, some rust repair. This side's not too bad. But basically we're just gonna go through it, throw a paint job on it, put the Rancho tranny in it. And it's got one of my motors. It's a 78 by 94. This is a really snappy combination. It's got a FK87 in it, and a set of 049 cylinder heads with a little bit of port work, and it sounded really good on the floor. I think I might have broke the sump though starting it on the floor. I got to stop doing that. Need to make a run stand or buy a dyno. I did find a dyno, but it was out of my price range. But anyway, that's another video altogether. But this is where we're at with this one. We'll get it all torn apart and order some spring plates. That's I got spring plates on order and some spring plate retainer plates coming for it. And I think that'll be about it for the parts. We'll have to fab some stuff on this because we're doing AC in this. It's a brand new AC system in there. I don't know why they bring them with all this stuff. So I gotta find somewhere for all this stuff now and inside. But some of this stuff you probably can't even get anymore, being that it's so old. I think it's cool going through some of this old NOS stuff, set of Bosch Platinum plugs. I don't even know if they still make those anymore. Back when Bosch plugs were good. But this car's not too bad. It'll be cool to see him get his car back. That's actually probably an original Hirsch shifter there. That's really rare, because I think it's got the wooden knob on it. I'm not sure. We'll have to investigate that. That'll be worth some bucks. But yeah, it's got the old Formula France steering wheel, missing the center cap. I'll have to try to find one of those online for him. But it's pure 80s. It needs a headliner. Needs, you know, no interior guys in Florida, so that's well, not around here anyway. If there is an interior guy watching this that's insulted by that comment, I need a convertible top on my my 63 or 64, so let me know. But anyway, that's what's going on here. Not a whole lot. But I thought I'd push that record button, answer that one question about the case, and give you the scoop on Victor's motor over here. So we're looking for some victory for Victor is what we're looking for on this motor. So he doesn't know I upgraded him to this sweet crank yet, but we did that. I was going to use this old oil pump, but we're going to upgrade him to a new pump too, and you know, try to do a few little things for him that I can, and make the motor as sweet as I possibly can, because you know, it's like I told him, he's going to pay for it and it's going to leave here, but it's always going to be my motor. And maybe that's the difference between some engine builders. You know, some guys build motors and they, you know, they're on to the next one, but I got all these combinations in my head, and I always think about the motors that have left and how they're running. So it's a sickness, I think, that some of us have. But anyway, that's where we're at with this. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off and clean the area up around the drill press and make a full float case. So you guys have a great day out there. Get out in the garage and work on whatever you're working on, and record it, make a video, toss it up on YouTube.